Hi, I'm Paul from smartfinanceguy.com. In this video today we're going to talk a little bit about paper-based budgeting. If you have a look below, you'll see the link to the website. If you go onto that website, subscribe to the site, I'll send you a budget action guide, which is a couple of pages, bullet pointed list, gives you very specific steps that you can take today to improve your budgeting skills. Main purpose of this video though, sales pitch out the way, is to talk to you about how you could go about budgeting using a piece of paper. Most people today want to and feel the need to budget on computers, and whilst that can be really easy, it's not if you don't have a computer, aren't very good with computers, or they just worry you. It can get in the way of you budgeting. The key thing that I believe and that I want you to take away is that budgeting is what you're doing. It's not playing around with computers. And so, if using a notebook is the simplest and easiest method for you, then that's really what you should do. Okay, enough talking. Let's cut to a close-up of our notebook. Okay, so you can use a notepad, you can use a folder as I've got here, you can use whatever's simplest for you, whatever you've got sort of lying around. Alternatively, go out and buy a notepad if you want. A4 is probably a good size to do. A4 or letter, I guess that is in the US. And what you need different sections so that it's very easy. Now in this example I've got some dividers here, so I'm going to keep my main planner where everything's summarized. I'm going to keep that at the front, and I'll show you how to complete this in just a minute. And then I'm going to have various tabs set up for each of my budget items, and so within those there'll be the detailed budget and the detailed items held a bit further back. If you're using a notepad without dividers in it, then I'd recommend that you keep your planner in the front of the book, and then if you move to the back, you can have separate pages for each of the individual subcategories. Now, as you'll see, I've written down some of the categories here, so like mortgage, TV, phone, electric, and gas, onto our planner document. If you're not comfortable about what I'm doing with categories and breaking out the budget and all of that sort of thing, you probably need to take a step back. You can head over to the Smart Finance Guy website and give you a bit more sort of guidance on that. There's an ebook on there that talks through some of these principles, but really what I'm trying to show you now is how to actually complete this. So the first stage of the planning exercise is obviously to make your planner meet and equal your income, so your budgeted expenditure to equal your income. The principle that I believe in is a zero budget. You should be allocating all of your income, but that should include saving and debt reduction and all of those sorts of things. So the first stage is just the working everything out. So start by filling in your budgeted figures here, so what you think the various items are going to be, and add those down the page. So you can see me, I'm just writing in some general numbers here. So let's, again, predicting this is going to be 100, and the transportation is going to be sort of 50 and 200 on the car. Again, in terms of actually setting these numbers, that's a whole other topic. I'm just trying to show you how to do it at this point. So eventually we get to the bottom of our budget, and I've just dropped a number of the categories out, and we have a total expenditure point. Let's say that our total expenditure is 3,000, and that's what we've added that number up as. We then look at what our total income is, and in this example, let's say it's only 2,500. So we can see straight away that we have a difference there of 500. What we then need to do is we need to close that gap, because we obviously don't want that difference. So to make the budget work, we need to go back over each of these categories and we need to reevaluate them and trim some of the fat. Now, rather than adding everything up again, focus on this number here. Focus on what your difference is. So let's say that we come back and we say, well, look, you know what, meals out, I can cut that. That can actually be 50. I can reduce that. Let's say that meals at home, okay, we can reduce that. We can get that down by another 100. So at this point, I've just saved as 150 at this point across the food category. We take that 150 and we deduct it from our 500 here. So rather than this being 500, we're now down to 350. You keep doing this. You keep doing this deduction. You keep doing these changes against each of these categories until you can get this difference down to 0. At that point, I'd recommend just adding up the totals once again. You might have some more things here and some more things here. I'd add it again and make sure that that really is the right number, so that those two are equal to each other. So that's your first stage. It's looking quite messy at this point. What I would then do is I would then copy that into a clean planner. Got an example of a clean planner here. I've got the categories marked out again across the budget. I've also got a budget column, I've got an actual column, and I've got a difference column. So at this point, we can start adding in our actual agreed upon budgeted figures. You now have your budget set for the month. What you now have to do is actually get through the month and see how you're progressing against it. Certain categories are going to be very simple. I suspect that your mortgage or your rent comes out as a single bill every month, and so your actual number just translates across. Your difference is going to be 0. There are going to be other items like this food item that you're going to be using and spending throughout the course of the month. So what I recommend in that situation is that you have a separate section in the book where you track that number separately. So in this example, I have a separate tab that's for food for the home. If I go into there, I have a separate sheet of paper that is showing the food for the home, and I enter what the May budget is. What I then do is that every time I spend money in this category, I come to this page rather than to the master page, and I update my spending. So let's say that on the 2nd of the month, I spend 50 against the food budget. I put the 50 down and I deduct it from my total. So I know that I then have 250. So we then go to the 10th of the month and I spend 100. I'm keeping this simple just for my maths as much as anything. We look at the total and we see that this then reduces us to 150. I'm still able to do analysis on this number at this point because I know that I still got 150 left once I come to the 10th of the month. What it's not doing is it's not giving it to you all in one place, such as an Excel-based budget would do, and obviously it's requiring you to do a bit of mental arithmetic or to use a calculator as you go on, but it's very quickly allows you to see how you're doing against your budgeted figure. At the end of the month, so we come down here and let's say that ultimately we get to a figure of there was £10 left at the end of the month. I'd then copy that into my master budget sheet. The fact that I have effectively spent 290 against that budget. I'd copy that in there. We see that we've got a difference of 10. And be sure to give yourself a smiley face for that one. Okay, so hopefully that was a nice, simple approach as to how you can use a notebook and a bit of paper to manage your budget. The key thing really is that you keep it up to date. That's one of the huge advantages that a notebook-based budget has over a computer. You don't need to switch it on to just jot in a few more entries. At the end of a day, at the end of a week, at the end of a weekend, whatever it might be. It's very easy to keep up to date. Obviously not quite so good in terms of quick, simple analysis as to how you're performing, how you're tracking against budget, but as we saw, there are ways around dealing with that. The key thing though is that you choose an approach that's simple and good for you. So hopefully this helped. As always, appreciate any feedback and any comments that you have, either here on the channel or come over to the website and give me your thoughts. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Take care.